So we will start writing it. Okay, so we'll start with TypeScript from today onwards. Okay, so in order to start with the TypeScript, make sure that you have configured TypeScript in your system. Yesterday I told the commands, right? Okay, so just execute that. And in order to write the TypeScript, you have to create the TS file. So there will be two files. One is a JS file, okay, and a JS file for JavaScript. Okay, and second one is a TS file for TypeScript. Okay, so if you are writing the TypeScript code, then you write it in the TS file. Okay, and if you are writing the JavaScript, then you write it in a JS file. Right now we are doing only the JS, right? Okay, now from today onwards, then we will use a TypeScript. So yeah, let's just create the TypeScript file now. So you can give any file name right now. I'll say it as a test file.ts. Now, so let's understand how we are going to write the TypeScript and how we are going to execute the TypeScript. Okay, so how we are going to execute the TypeScript. Do you guys know what is the difference between a let and a constant? Okay, so there are two keywords to declare the variable. One is like let, you say. One is a let. So this is for declaring the variable whenever you want to use the variable. Then you have to give variable name. You say like x. And then generally in JavaScript, you simply say, right, let variable name equal to value directly. And later, like whenever you want to change the variable value, you can say variable name equal to some xyz value. So you can keep changing the value. But whereas in TypeScript, the way you define the variable is little different from JavaScript. Okay. So it's a little different from JavaScript. So how you do the declaration of the variable in TypeScript is, okay, you will be specifying the data type along with the variable name. While the declaration, you will be specifying the data type. So how would you do that? You have to use colon. Okay, so you have to use colon, and then you give as a data type. So here, what is the number here? What is the number is called? Number is X is a name. X is X is the name of the variable. X is the name of the variable. Number is the data type. You call it as data type, and 40 is the value. Right? So name, data type, and a value. So in TypeScript, whenever you define the variable, you also need to specify the data type for the variable. So which means what type of data that variable has to accept. What type of data that variable has to accept. Okay. So here I said number. Okay. Then remaining console.log also will be same. Console.log also will be same. Okay. Then how do you run the TypeScript code? How do you run the TypeScript code? Is you should, okay, so if you are using the latest version of the node, what is the version of the node that you guys have? Okay, yeah, so if you are using older version of the node, you cannot run the TypeScript with the node command. Okay, so latest version of the node has the capability of running the TypeScript also. But if you are using 22 lesser than 22 version, then your node is not capable of running the TS file directly. But no worries, generally we don't use node command for executing the TS file. I will tell the command that has to be executed in order to run the TS file. Okay, so we use a different command. So the command is you say npx tsc. Okay, npx tsc and double hyphen no emit. That means that, okay, in case if a TypeScript has got any errors, then do not take into JavaScript. Don't convert into JavaScript. That's what it means. npx tsc double hyphen no emit double ampersand. You have to use double ampersand. Okay, and then you have to use npx tsx. Okay, and test file dot ts. Yeah. Now you can see that there is an error. Earlier, same file, when I executed through the node, it was giving an error. Now we can see, sorry, it was giving output properly when I use the node command directly. But now can you see that error here? X equal to ABC. There is an error coming now. Okay, and you can say that type string is not assignable to type number. That means string is not assignable. String value is not assignable to the X because X is set to number type. When X is set to number type, then it is allowed only, to take only the numbers, not any other value. Same command, like you see, same file, I have executed with the node command, but it ignored the type specific and then still executed and given the output. But so if you say that no, the data types are very, very important for me. And if users are given wrong type of value, any invalid data type of values for the variables, because I'm specifying the data type for the data types for every variable, and users have to mandatorily provide same data type value for the variables. Okay, then you have to use this command npx tsc no emit and double ampersand npx tsx and the file name. But remember one point. These commands, do we use these commands all the time? Do we use these commands all the time? Like my answer is no, actually, we don't use these commands in the future, because in future we are going to write PlayWright, right? So we are going to use PlayWright code. So when you write the PlayWright and all, PlayWright comes with its own framework to define the tests and all. Okay. And in order to run the test cases in a PlayWright, we will be using a different command called PlayWright is a command. Command name itself, we are going to use PlayWright. We don't use something like node. We don't use something like npx. So we don't use all those to run the PlayWright test cases. So we will be using PlayWright command only. So right now we have to use these commands only for TypeScript code execution. Okay, like before you start with PlayWright and all, so we want to get all the TypeScript basics and all, right? So we are going to write TS files individually for every topic. We are going to write TS files individually. So to run the TS files, we need this command. So if you want, I will share this command with you guys and then use the same in the future. Otherwise, we used to have something called npx ts node, but they have suggested not to use ts node for the latest version of the TypeScript anymore. And probably the ts node, they will give the latest version in the future. So till then ts node is not compatible to use for latest version of TypeScript. Okay, so I have shared the command with you. I've shared the command with you to run the ts file, but this ts file name has to be changed. Right. Okay. So yeah, this is what exactly it makes a difference between JavaScript and TypeScript data types. But yeah, there are few more differences going forward. You will learn them. Okay. Then, so we have something like string, which we have seen already. String can be alpha, alphanumeric, or anything. So that can be written inside the double quote. And we have something like number. And we have something like null. We have something like undefined. And we have something like, big int. So remember, big int we have. And we have something like symbol. Okay, so symbol. And we also have a boolean, right? So we have boolean. So yeah, so understand these are the data types that we have: string, number, null, undefined, big int, symbol, boolean, all those. But let's not discuss about each and everything right now. But you know about string already, you know about number, and you know about boolean, right? So you know about boolean. Okay, yeah. Then one more point that you remember, this is even for your future in the automation. Keep this point, and then when we start with the PlayWright and automating the application and retrieving the values from application and doing the validations and all, then this will help. This point will help. String is one of the very, very common data type we use in real time when you're doing automation testing, particularly. Which is the most common data type that we will be using is a string. Okay, whenever you retrieve the data from application, whenever you retrieve the data from a database, whenever you read the data from any file like Excel or any other file and all, then whatever the value that is there in the application or in the Excel or in the database and all, whatever it is, but it will be reading as a string only. So this language will provide you functions to convert the data type temporarily for performing the operations. Now you can say this. There is a function called number. Function name is number, n uppercase. Remember, n lowercase means data type, n uppercase means function. N should be uppercase. N of x, number, n of y. Okay, number, n of y. Now, did you get? So, and at the same time, there are couple more data types. As you know, the strings and booleans now, there are a couple more data types that we need to understand. Like, let's say, for example, here, I have a string type. Now, did I assign any value to that x? I have assigned data type. Did I assign any value to x? No, right? And even I don't give the data type or anything, just that's okay. Now, what will be x here? I'm just printing x. What will be x? What gets printed? Look at.
Undefined. Null.
No, undefined. Yeah, that's okay. So see, now I got two answers. This is again expected actually. So null and undefined. If people are coming from Java background, they say null. Okay.
Yes.
So they say null. But like we have two different types here. One is called null and second one is called undefined. Okay. So in JavaScript, in TypeScript, we have two things, null and undefined. Okay. Both are two different. But though both are saying that there is nothing in the variable. Undefined also says there is nothing in the variable. Null also says that there is nothing in the variable. But undefined means, right? Undefined means you are okay. So what it means, whenever you get undefined, that means that variable has been just declared. There is no assignment for that. Undefined means variable is just declared. There is no assignment. When there is no assignment, then that is normally called as undefined. And there is a null. Null means you have explicitly assigned null. When you don't have something like, okay, so null means still null also there is nothing in the variable, but you have explicitly assigned null. That means you are explicitly telling JavaScript saying that, hey, for this variable, okay, so I'm setting no value right now. So that means that you cannot perform any operations on this variable. So because I'm not going to assign the value immediately. So null is an explicit assignment that you have made. But technically undefined and null will do the same thing. You cannot perform any operations. So X also, now also X doesn't contain anything. Undefined also doesn't contain anything. So fine. So if you understood this here today, I will stop now. And I have given access also for the Google Drive, people whoever accessed, and remaining whoever did not access, I already shared the Google Drive link and try to access that and I will provide the access. So I just send the request. Okay. I will approve the request.
Okay.
Fine then. So I will stop here today. Today I will stop now.